So it should be working now. So I'm going to keep glancing at the screen, and yes. Oh, you just saw me spit something out. Nice. I think we're live. So oh yeah, we can hear audio. Muting that. So just trying my best with this fancy setup. I've done it before, going into Skype and stuff, and I can't seem to get my chat to come up either. So there we go. I've got my chat. Hooray! Right, how do I undock that chat? There we go. Right, so in theory everything should be working well. You should be hearing me okay. I'm on a Rode NTG4. There. Sony FX9. 35mm. I've got 3 lights on me. Got the specular, Swiftiger specular over there. I got a blind spot gear, little Scorpion, and I've got a little aperture MC which I've put as a tiny little fill. And here's a big fill, ready to answer some questions. Oh my god, how's anybody I'm a guy, I'm not going to be able to keep up with this. I can't multitask. Look how many questions. I start with a how is everybody doing? Is everybody okay? Is anybody on here sick? If you are, make sure you leave at least 3 or 4 spaces between your question and other people, just in case. You never know. All right, let's get onto a question. Somebody from Nottingham. Hello, my sister lives in Nottingham. There you go. Now, is that a Marshall guitar amp in the background? No, that is a Bluetooth speaker. I can show you what I do have here. If I try and... Hello. Going down. Going down. This is where I need the wide lens. Oh, it's Lollipop. There you go. Hi. Right, I'm gonna probably just screwed up my shot entirely now, so I think my cutoff was just about there. FX9 autofocus work. Oh no, I've lost my head already. This is where you need these multi-camera setups that these fancy chaps have. I think I've made it all a bit wonky now. Nope. Yeah. God, I'm not getting it right at all. Alright, I'm not going to move the camera anymore because that's clearly a huge mistake. And there we go. Right, let's answer proper questions. If there are any. So, I don't really know exactly how this works. And I notice things like super chats pop up and I have no idea where they pop up. So I'm just going to try and keep on top of everything. Okay. Let's look at something really easy to start with. Thoughts on Blackmagic pocket cameras? All of them? I'm still cutting my head off, sorry. Better, so my composition is important to me. There we go. Should have had it on the Arc 2 head from Rhino, then I can remotely move it. Thoughts on Blackmagic pocket cameras? Yes, they're very good for what they are. They're great, So I have the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. Don't use it that much. I like the image. Form factor is pain, and the batteries are pain, but it's good. So, I don't know. Right, so this I have this super chat come up. What does this do? I don't know. I don't even know how to accept it, so shows you how much I know. Who knows? Right, I'll maybe figure out in a minute. What am I editing with? The DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut Pro 10 is what I'm moving to. My last big edit, which was the FX9 review, was done on Premiere, which I am not using anymore. So I think, yeah, no, I think it wasn't locked down, the tilt lock on the tripod. There we go. Right, okay. There's so many questions. I don't know how it's possible to read all of these. Okay, everybody ask one question and then wait. It's not possible to make it work, is it? Would I recommend, here's one I can answer quickly. Would I recommend EVA1 for sports filmmaking? Would I still recommend EVA1 for sport filmmaking? I'm not sure I ever did recommend it specifically for sport. And it depends what sport filmmaking is. If you could elaborate, that would be good. Right, now, will there be an FX6? I don't know. Maybe, hopefully. I don't know anything about it. So will it basically be a smaller version, if it exists, of this? Yes, I expect so. Will it therefore be missing stuff? Yes. Will it be full frame? No idea. So there you go. If you want to know why I'm not using Premiere, you should follow me on social media for the hell that I went through with it. So, okay. Do I miss my ENG news days? Yes and no. The great thing about working in news was obviously you get to do some interesting stuff, you get to do some tedious stuff, and get to do some awful stories, and get to do some good stories. But mostly you get to leave it at the end of the day. And the next day is a new day. So you're not always taking it home with you. Whereas working as a freelance, you always got things going. So it's always stuff to plan, always stuff to edit, always that sort of stuff. Well, less stuff to plan right now, obviously. But normally, so there's always things going. But I have lots of things to edit and stuff, so... But that's the only thing I miss, is that sort of like leaving stuff behind at the end of the day. So much. Okay, right. I guess you probably have to repeat the questions because there's just so many, I don't even know how I'm supposed to keep up with them. So, okay. Is all my work cancelled? Yes. Yeah, it is. So I had 3 shoots lined up for the next month and a bit. I had 4 days of private tuition that I was doing for somebody, which has been postponed until who knows when. So yeah, and a speaking engagement has gone as well. So there's nothing. I have nothing. Like most people. So, what do I think of the... Ooh, right. Okay. So I'm going to answer this question here, which is from the super chat. So I guess once I've answered it, I don't know what happens, but anyway, so 1DX3 I am hoping to borrow soon. So I was in touch with Canon 2 days ago, and they're gonna get me a 1DX3. I wanted to try 1DX3 before the 500, the C500 Mark II, because in a way the 1DX Mark III interests me a bit more, because the big issue I have with the C500 Mark II that puts me off it, because everything about it looks amazing apart from the high frame rate. So anything over 60p, so it does full frame 60p, which is great, and that's I think it's 4K or in their codec or in their raw light. I think it's 5.9, I think. But anything over 60, between 60 and 120, is HD. Okay, same as this camera, but it's a super 16mm crop, so it's a 3 times crop, which is disappointing. I've got the 1DX Mark II, and my 120 frames per second is full frame. Great, and it's the same on the 1DX Mark III, full frame. So you know, that's what I like the look of. You know, I like the look of the 1DX Mark III for what it does. My big issues with it, I think, are going to be the amount of data I'm going to accumulate, because those bit rates are high, especially if you do shoot in cinema raw. So there you go, Chappelle Digital. There was your question answered. So, how can I review an R5 as they aren't out yet? Well, I don't think you can review an R5 if it's not out yet, because I don't know. I haven't got one. Now, talk about the R5. We can stay on Canon for a sec. The specs, you know, it sounds amazing, and I am very excited to find out about it. One thing I haven't been able to find out about, and seems to be missing on the specs, is what the 4K is like. And if you can tell me, great. I just hope that the 8K, you know, the 8K is full frame up to 30p. I'm hoping that the 4K isn't cropped. I'm hoping that it is just downsampled. If it is, then that's great. Because the problem is, look, it's data. Data is a massive issue with 8K. I have no real need for 8K. I'd like to have 8K. I have 6K, two 6K cameras, a Z-Cam and a Kinfinity Marvo. I forgot, no, actually two of those are 6K. So I've got three 6K cameras, and that's great for cropping in for interviews. That's all I really need. 8K data, so effectively 4 times the data rate. I mean, wow. It's not just the price of the memory cards, it's the price of the hard drive space. And it's a lot. You know, I've got my iMac Pro is my main computer. I've got MSI on the ground, but both of them will struggle with 8K. I'm not going to be able to work with proxies. And then what do I do with it? Put it on YouTube, where the 8K is going to look like mush. Not like mush, it'll just look like blockiness with this compression. The only reason I would like 8K is for cropping in on interviews. That's the only real need. 6K, this is what I'd love my FX9 to record 6K for me, just for interview crop would be good. I just don't know about 8K. It's just, as long as the R5 offers 4K full frame, then great. Then we're looking at a really good camera. So I'm excited about that, because I've got some really amazing lenses. Okay, questions. Hello everybody, if I haven't said hello, because I'm a bit overwhelmed by how many there are here. So let me get down here. So I don't think the 8K is motion JPEG, by the way. I think it is whatever their codec is that they're currently using in the 1DX Mark III. I expect it to be the same. So I expect there will be a CF Express card slot in that camera. The second slot, who knows, could be the same, could be SD card for other stuff. Okay, right, so look at some questions. Right. Why? So, all right, Dr. Mahul Lapsiwala is asking, why do I feel footage from the A7 III as compared to any other cinema camera? He feels the A7 III is choppy and over sharpened, not that fluid cinema cameras. What's the difference? Well, the stills cameras, the Sony stills cameras, and well, I think all of them really, all of the stills cameras that shoot video, as far as I know, you can't turn off all of their internal noise reduction, and there is additional sharpening in there. So, I mean, what I do with my cinema cameras and my video cameras is I turn off noise reduction. I turn off sharpening. I don't just put it to minimum, I turn it off. And you can't do that on the stills cameras, as far as I know. Certainly not on the Sony ones that I've come across, or the Canons. I don't know about the Panasonics, so and the Fujis too. So I've got my GFX 100 here, and I've got the sharpness set to the absolute minimum. It's not turned off, but if I have it at normal, it's too much. and it's awful. I hate it. I have a specific video called Detail v Sharpening. So anyway, right. What f-stop am I at? I am at 1.8, which is wide open on this camera, because it's 1.8 lens. Somebody actually asked me a question once, and they said to me, the maximum aperture on my lens is f2.8. How can I make it bigger? What do you say to that? Apart from get out a drill. How are my cats? My cats are good. There's just Lollipop here. The trouble is, now she's awake, she's going to be all over everybody. So Lollipop here is wonderful and a brilliant cat. And there's the autofocus working quite well. So these are the reps. Do check out Gerald Undone's video about exercising at home, because this sort of stuff is really good. Alright. I don't even know what to look at. I haven't used a C500 Mark II, so I can't give you any comparisons with other cameras. I can only give you opinions about cameras I've used. I can speculate on specs of released cameras and things I'm looking forward to trying out on released cameras and stuff, but I really can't compare them because I haven't used them. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. See, like, you know, questions asking me to ask, and if you want to know if you should get X camera or Y camera when Y camera hasn't even been released, there's no point asking that question because it's impossible. Nobody knows. I mean, you know, I've got the A7S III here, and oh, just delete that bit. I can't talk about that. So awkward. Right. Yeah. So Alex, you're asking this question a lot. So Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, 6K, never used it. EOS R5, never used it. So I cannot advise you. But if you are torn and you don't know which one to get, the only way I can guarantee I can give you an answer that is not going to let you down is to say get them both, because then we have them both, and then return the one you don't like, or keep them both. It's up to you. What do I think? So Rawi is asking, what do I think Sony has to bring to the A7S to compete with the SH1 offerings and R5? I don't think Sony need to put in 8K into the A7S III, and I don't want it. Part of the reason I don't want it in the A7S III is it does require, therefore, quite high megapixels. 30, what is it for 8K? I can't even remember. 30 something. Where 6K, I think, is around 24 megapixels, and that's what I expect the megapixel to be on the A7S III, because it makes sense. The A7 III is that, and produces great images. The low light performance is very good. It just has aggressive noise reduction, which makes the image fall apart and make it all go mushy. So it's interesting. You know, quite often, you know, depending on the camera, it's worth not necessarily putting the ISO up all the way on the camera. It's sometimes worth keeping it low and then pushing it in post, because sometimes by doing it in post, you're making the image look better because the camera isn't adding that noise reduction, which is making things go to mush. Not always, just on certain cameras in certain situations. Do I prefer Lollipop or my Marvo camera? I prefer my cats to every camera in the world. You know, they are way more important than any piece of gear, by far. Any piece of gear. But the A7S III has to have 10-bit internal recording, and it has to have 60p 4K, maybe 6K up to 30 if it does it. That would be cool, you know, that would be cool. 10-bit, 6K up to 30, 4K up to 60 internal recording. I'd be happy with that. So, I don't know. The thing is, I can't imagine any camera actually being released right now, because it's a pretty weird time, isn't it? You know, every show's been cancelled. You know, NAB is supposed to be in a month's time, and then all the other shows cancelled. I don't know. There's not really, and also they like to have press events, and if you can't get anybody out and about, so they're not going to release anything, not for a while. And people, we're gonna have a global recession, so people aren't going to have the income to buy new cameras. Okay, let me try and. So somebody's saying, why do I dislike Canon? Absolutely do not dislike Canon. I love Canon. That's crazy. I have Canon here. Oh, look, I have my 1DX Mark 1 here, and I love it. This is a micro full frame, so it's not the full thing. I love Canon. C200 is one of my main documentary cameras. Probably going to be replaced now by the FX9, but you know, I'm excited about the R5, and I'm very excited about getting my hands on the 1DX Mark III. So I don't hate Canon. I don't hate anything. All right, I do have another super chat. So, what is my opinion? What in your opinion has been the most effective way of marketing myself as a freelance DP to higher end gigs such as a Wunderlist? So, I mean, my career is a funny one, in my freelance career, because it's sort of, everything is sort of accidental. I don't really have huge ambitions. I just wanted to just shoot and shoot the things I want to shoot and enjoy it. The Wunderlist was an amazing experience, and they just approached me. They saw the Koyanoi drone video, and they loved that, and they loved my style. And they just offered me the gig. So I didn't really market myself in any, I don't have any cynical way of doing things of like, I'm going to do this and this so I can get this and this. I just put up whatever I want, and that's it really. That's how I do things. So I'm not sure if that really answers the question, but it's been effective for me. It's not exactly a great blueprint for getting work, but certainly putting stuff online that is you and you do well is a good way of marketing yourself. Trying to force yourself into something which isn't you because or isn't your skill set because you want to do it, maybe isn't the right way. I don't know. There you go. Okay, Trenton is asking what to shoot while quarantined. Pets. But on a serious answer, so obviously if you cannot leave the house, you're not going to be able to shoot much. But if you're lucky enough to have a family, a wife, kids, whatever, shoot some stock footage of them. Get the kids getting ready for breakfast and school and stuff, and get them heading out the door. Of course, pull them back in, shouldn't they? Because I can't leave. That sort of stuff. Generic family stuff is wanted by agencies, so I really recommend doing something like that. So if you don't have a family, then if you live on your own and you're quarantined, film your animals. If you don't have any animals, film yourself. If you don't want to film yourself, then maybe just find your footage and cut it up and then put that into stock. There you go. So, okay, Laris is asking me a question. Which camera would you recommend for commercial filmmaking under 10K? It's a hard one because I think I need a little bit more explanation as to what sort of stuff you're talking about. And under 10K what? Oh, no, you're euros. Okay, your euros. Does that include tax? I mean, this is under 10K, but this is, I don't know about that. It depends. See, the Marvo LF is well under 10k now, and that's a great camera. It depends if you want autofocus or not. Depends if you want full frame, if you want Super 35. There's loads of great alternatives. Zcam makes some amazing cameras. I haven't tried their full frame ones yet, but especially I think their 6k one will be really good. I think the 8k one will be good as well, I expect. But it's that problem with the 8k thing again. It's data rate and also more pixels, less performance in low light. So I think 6k is such a great optimums kind of thing, because we want to deliver for 4k, and 6k gives us that extra that we can use, that wiggle room for reframing and stuff. So maybe a Zcam F6, but I haven't tried it, so I'm not recommending it yet. But there's quite a few out there, so it's a tricky one. Maybe if you give me some more information, I can do a follow-up on that. Okay. Okay, what have I got here? Right. I'm trying to read some of this. All right, lads. Yeah, autofocus is great. Yeah. So in which case, if you don't want to stretch to the FX9, I had two C200s, and I am selling one. So if you want to buy one of my C200s, it's way under 10k. So there you go. C200 is a great camera. Okay. So who's got a little baby Yoda emoji thumbnail. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate any donations, especially when I don't have any work. Been following you for a long time, before the DSLR days. Amazing to see your popularity rise. How's that journey been, and did you expect this? No, I didn't expect anything. Look, the way that it worked was I left Sky, 17 years working in news, in 2006, and then I was I wanted a I just sort of I got, I think what it came, it all sort of happened because I bought a Sony Z1, and I'd never used a camera with such a small sensor before, and suddenly, because I was going from 2/3 inch sensors, which are small today, but back then that was kind of standard, and the Sony Z1 I couldn't get any shallow depth field, and I was like, oh blimey, what's this about? And I learned more about things and understood things, and then got 35mm adapters, and that's when I got the EX1, and then did the blog, and that's kind of how it went, and everything has just been an organic, natural thing of me just doing whatever I want to do. So I didn't expect anything from it. The goal was to share with the community, because when I was working in news, I had a great cameraman, Jerry and Roland Sullivan, and they taught me so much, because I was their assistant and / sound recordist, and they taught me so much, and so that sort of path is not really there anymore. So it's just a way of sort of giving back. So, okay. I've got another one here, which is from Mysterious Prime. In your experience and opinion, what's the best, easiest camera to work with in the 2,000 to 3,000 price range for light studio work? I'm assuming we were talking video here. I mean, that's a tough one. But easy cameras are great, you know. Like the FX9's a pain in the bum with its fiddly menus that take ages to get, you know, to do certain things. Like the best menus and the most simple operation of cameras that I've come across, Blackmagic pocket cinema cameras. So maybe that would be a good one for you. I think that it fits into your price bracket. I haven't used the 6K pocket cinema camera, but 4K is great, and the 6K will does have a better image as far as I've seen. So maybe that. I don't know, but I haven't used it, so it's hard to 100% recommend. What gear would I really like to own? There's a good one. Can I have a Tesla? There's no point. Actually, I've got nowhere to charge it. Forget that. They'll still give it to me if you're going to buy me one, but I don't know. I don't need any more cameras. So, do I need more? Yeah, I'd like some cinema lenses. That would be nice. Some nice cinema lenses. So, lights I'm okay with. I'm trying to think. Yeah, no, I'm all right. So there's nothing really. Okay, computers. There you go. I'd like a Mac Pro, a fully spec'd out Mac Pro that costs as much as a Tesla. That would be nice. It would help me work with this 8K footage from the R5, which no other computer will be able to cope with. So, and I don't want to use Windows. Don't tell me to get Windows, please. So Grace is asking, do I have any recommendations for all our professors who are overnight on-night talent? Can you just clarify what you mean by that question? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Yeah, so I don't quite understand the question, but I'll get back to you on that. Thank you, Cesar. I appreciate it. But yeah, so there. I've done Starios. He's good. Done everybody else as well. Cool. All right, here's one from Nathan Lowe. Yeah, no, I'm a bit overwhelmed with the questions, by the way, so I'm just trying my best. So obviously the super chats pop up bold to me so I can see them, hence they're there. So I'll get to those quickly and then I'll go to other questions. I've lost it though. What was the question? I'm looking to upgrade from an A7 III. Want to stay with Sony. I have native lenses. What do you suggest? Don't get an FS5. No, FX9 could well be overkill. Who knows if the FX6 is going to exist? Probably does. Maybe the A7S III will be great. But if you want to stay with Sony lenses, you don't really have much choice. Because, I mean, I have the Sony A7R4 and it's great, but the video quality isn't a step up from the A7 III. It just has better autofocus and worse low light. So maybe just hang on for 6 months or so and let's see what happens, I think, Nathan, because I don't think and nobody's going to announce anything anytime soon, but we shall see. Okay, so I've got somebody asking here. No, no G&T on the go, Benjamin. I have some squash. I don't have much tonic water left, and I'm not going to a supermarket. So I have lots of wine though. So I do have some wine. Funny story. I put money into this thing called Virgin Wine Bank. And they put in, you put in some money each month, and then they put in like 30% on top of that, which is cool. And then I forget I have done that, and then I log in and go, oh, blimey, I have a lot of money saved up. And so I sent money, big box of wine to my mum and my sister, and then I got one sent to me, and it never arrived. They'd left it on the doorstep. And when I came home, it wasn't there. So I phoned them up and they sent me a replacement. Good on you, Virgin Wines. And then a couple of days later, my neighbour knocked on my door and said, somebody left this big box of wine on your doorstep. So I now have 2 big boxes of wine. Well, there you go. Okay, questions. How much my C200? I don't know, Laris. I need to message me. Message my contact on my website, and then we can talk. I don't know what the going price is for it. It's got a few extra bits on it, but I'll do you a great price. It will be under what everybody else is doing. So I have a big load of gear in my kitchen, all ready to be sold, and of course now's the worst possible time to be selling anything. Things like Sony FS7, Sony FS5, one of my C200s, Fuji GFX 50S, Insta360 Pro, Mavic 2 Pro untouched, Mavic 2 Zoom untouched. all ready to sell. I just need to get it listed. Okay, so let's scroll down a bit. How can you kitten-proof your studio? Probably not. So I'm not going to pan down, but the one thing that I've found essential is, so also look, keyboards, right? Keyboards are great. You need a keyboard, autofocus, thank you very much, to write on. But the problem is cats like moving things. So when they see your hand on the keyboard, they want to be with your hands. So what I've got, it's actually a monitor stand. And and so that goes underneath here on the desk, and so my hand's underneath this monitor stand, so I can use the keyboard and they can't disturb it. The problem is they just go for the mouse instead, so maybe I need to get one for the mouse as well. How many cats do I have now? Hasn't changed. I've had 5 cats since October 2018. Right, questions. Right, so this is It's Jay, and from Switzerland. He's asking, when you're filming people outside, do I just point the camera and do I ask them and it's okay to be on YouTube? So it's a tricky question, this, actually, and it depends on the country you're in. So technically, street photography is allowed, and that's all I'm doing, and that's what I cannot use it commercially, anybody without their permission. And if somebody does say no, then of course you respect it. So that's what it kind of is, and it's, you know, it's tricky. You know, I put up this video yesterday of down in Richmond. Was it yesterday? I think I put it up. I think it was, yeah. And it was like that sort of filming of people just being out and about, not really respecting the you know, going to pubs and stuff. I did actually have a stock agency contact me asking if I had releases from these people, and if I didn't have releases from these people, could I get releases from these people? Of course I cannot get releases from these people, and I'm not going to go up and get releases from people while I'm filming this anyway, so I'm trying to keep my distance. But I never do for this sort of thing. I always know that if I'm going to be filming this sort of stuff, it can never be used commercially. It's just for me, for these little videos which I love to make for street photography. So the thing is, if you have to physically go and ask somebody's permission before filming them, you're going to ruin any moment. And if you ask after, most likely they'll be a bit, what did you film of me? They might, you know, so if you need something, then yes. Look, whenever I've shot stuff for documentaries where, you know, you have producers who run around with releases, and they have to, because it's commercial. But if you're getting some B-roll and you don't have that, and they need B-roll of city centres and stuff, you have to be really creative the way you shoot to not identify anybody. So it's a bit tricky. Cool. Hopefully that answers your question. I did actually have one woman get really aggressive with me end of last year when I was out testing out a gimbal, and I wasn't even pointing it at her, and I was literally just getting it set up, and she went, "Don't you film me and my kids?" And I'm like, well, I'm not. I'm trying to get the thing to balance because it's not balancing. Can you give me a hand and help me balance this? And she didn't help me balance, but she was very happy to be horrible to me. So there you go. I was photographer. You're welcome for featuring you in the Best Gear 2019 review. Do I sell prints? Yeah, I can sell prints of anything you want. So if you see any photos you want, I haven't got anything formal set up though. But if there's any images you want, I'm happy to sell them. Just contact me and we'll get it sorted. So, I mean, if you want, you know, me just like posing like this, it's fine. If you want cat photos, it's fine. If you want anything else, it's fine. I really should, and I will one day get it sorted out properly. Same with stock. And I've always said there's never enough time to do anything. There is now. So Richard is asking, saying my Skiathos cat video is my favourite piece of my work. Do you mean Chamonix? Because I've done lots of different ones, but I'm assuming it's that one. Am I going to do a follow-up of that? No, that's a standalone for sure. I have another Scathos video to edit actually, which is about neutering of cats, and I will get that done in the next few weeks. And I did plan to go back out to Scathos next month, but it's not happening. The island's closed down. They have no hospitals in the island, you see, and they had their first suspected case today. So that person's been shipped off to the mainland, and hopefully they don't have it, because if the island does get it, they're screwed because there is no hospitals. So the island's shut down, completely shut down. It's scary. So let me talk about the Siri anamorphic lens. Somebody's asking about this. Funny story. Do I still have the... Hang on. No, I don't have the thing. Funny story for you about the anamorphic lens. I really, really want to get my hands on it. And I came this close. Can you get that in focus? This close to getting one. In fact, I came within yards of getting one, but I didn't get it. So what happened was, they did send me one. It took ages for them. Initially, they wanted me, if I was going to get one, to sign an agreement saying I wouldn't say anything negative about that. I'm not going to sign anything. I did say, though, that if I didn't like anything, if I don't like something, I don't talk about it. I'm not going to be negative for negative's sake. I mean, that's what you generally find with my reviews, is there's always something good to find out about something, well, apart from the Fran. So they did finally send me one in January, maybe? And they didn't get the address quite right. They got... they delivered it to next door, but they didn't deliver it to the person. Even though, if you look on the tracking, it says signed for by Bloom. What they did was they put it in the dustbin next door at about 1:30 p.m. on a Tuesday, which is bin collection day. So I was in here editing my MZ masterclass, whilst they put an anamorphic lens in the bin next door, DHL, and it says on the card, I've got the card still, left in safe place in the bin. Good one, DHL. And so, literally got taken away with the trash, and I haven't been sent a replacement. So, there you go. So, I don't know. Hope it's good. I don't know. I haven't got one. So, I've done Iowa's photographer's question. Thank you very much. And thank you, Richard. All right, so let's look at that one. Okay. Right. Right. What do I... What's my favourite film of all time? Some Like It Hot. Still smoking. I've never smoked. No. Occasionally, cigars. But like, even when I was doing occasional cigars, like once in a blue moon, once every few weeks, I haven't had a cigar in a long time. So, okay, right. So, Simon, I'm glad you enjoyed Succession. Great series, thoroughly recommend watching it. I'm currently watching Barry, and I'm on, just started season 2 of Barry. Brilliant. I didn't think, it didn't grab me, the concept of it, but I love it. Love it. Barry, recommend that. So, FX9 v Marvo LF. So what the Marvo LF does better than the FX9 is it does better high frame rate. So it does full frame 6K up to 60 frames, and I think 4K is up to maybe 100. So that's what it does better. The higher frame rates are cropped, though, like on the C500 Mark II. But you know, if you want to go into a high frame rate, it does crop in. So in a way, it's better. If the camera can't downsample well, it's better to crop in, to be honest with you. Whilst I don't like the fact that the C500 Mark II does crop into that 3 times Super 16 to get over 60p. well, things I know that they could probably do the full sensor. It's just that, for example, like the Z-Cam, for me, the downside with the Z-Cam's high frame rate that isn't 4K is they downsample, but it aliases and wirrays like crazy. And I said to them, can you please offer a 1-to-1 crop mode? Because that way at least. So, but yeah, the Marvo's lighter as well. It's much lighter. The autofocus doesn't exist. Audio handling is nowhere near as good. But it's a lovely, easy camera to use. And the image is beautiful. Low light performance, not as good as FX9, but still very good. It's a lot easier to use though. You're just shooting log. That's it. Done. No fiddling with anything else. Okay. Let's have a look at questions. Any thoughts on the Red Komodo? Yeah, I mean, Red Komodo is interesting. So, it's actually quite ironic. So, I'm not knocking Canon at all. It's just one of the things that disappointed me the most about the the C500 Mark II when it was announced spec-wise, that it doesn't support RF lenses, because their RF lenses are really good. Their new lenses are so good. They're crazy good. And if you're going to be buying this expensive cinema camera, to not be able to put on their newest fantastic lenses, which all have better autofocus performance because they're all brand new, is crazy to me. Yet Red are making a camera with the RF mount, which is fantastic. So I'm excited about it. I don't know how good their autofocus will be. I mean, it's one of their selling points. We shall see. I don't know if there's any footage out there. I haven't seen anything, but it looks cool. I mean, I've had a Red before. I had a Red Epic M. Cost a fortune, and God, you couldn't shoot in anything but daylight, unless you lit stuff, obviously. But for documentary filming, wasn't much fun. So, camera behind me. Camera behind me here. It's a GFX 100S. It's my favourite camera right now, I would say, because I mean, it shoots crazy good stills and it shoots beautiful video. Check out my video Sharmalipi, which was my film Sharmalipi, which was made using this camera. Okay. I look like a Greek. No, I'm not Greek. I am, so my blood, I mean, for my family, so my mother's French. My dad is English, but his grandparents, half of his family was from the Ukraine, I believe, and half was from Portugal. So my dad's side's a big mixture. And my mum is French all the way back to, well, a long way back. So there's my makeup. Okay, any thoughts on the Sigma FP? Yes, I have had the FP for a few months on loan from Sigma. I actually took a couple of photos today with it because I've got the 35 1.2. I've only got it in the L mount. That lens, amazing lens, but only in the L mount. And the camera's just right now it's like a couple of firmwares away from being a really usable camera. Right now it's a bit of a pain because it is missing certain things. And you can see, I need reading glasses, and so if I have to use the screen, it means I have to use this, because there's no built-in EVF, and the viewfinder loop that goes on the back is screwed in literally with 2 Allen key screws, so you can't quickly move it, take it off, on and off. So these are the biggest issues I have with the camera. I like it otherwise. I think it's got a lot going for it, and it's nice. I think it just needs an EVF and some flat profiles and stuff. Any gear? Robert's asking, any gear I'd not recommend. Yeah, probably loads. Don't get a Fran. Yes, I have an Easy Rig Roland, and if we ever get our work back and shoot when I'm shooting handheld with the FX9, I probably will be using the Easy Rig for longer handheld stuff. For just shorter stuff, then I'm fine with just a handheld rig with the Scuto stuff because it's great. But anything longer, then there you go. And yes, I have a French passport. So yes. So, right. Timothy's asking a serious question. What do you think about what's going to happen with freelance filmmaking environment with the current global crisis? It's a terribly scary prospect, to be honest with you. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I hope things are going to be okay. But right now, so the government is offering to support salaried employees who are pay-as-you-earn with employers, but for freelancers, nothing. So we're going to get £94 a week, which obviously is not good. So unless you've got money saved up, then you're going to be pretty screwed. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's very scary and depressing. I had a question from a Canadian called Gerald Ewan asking, he wants to make more videos more cinematic. How loud should I be making the whooshing sounds in my mouth when you do whip pans? Gerald, the whooshes, well, I would recommend doing them in voiceover because then you get much better sounding whooshes. If it inspires you for your transitions, like when Ewan McGregor said when he was first using the lightsaber in episode 1 filming, he was going vroom, vroom. He was told to stop doing that, but it did inspire him. If it inspires you when you're doing your tilty transitions, which I know you love so much because they're very cinematic, then do them. But I would recommend doing those in post, or just get a subscription with Epidemic Sound. There you go. Thank you, Geraldio. And stay safe and stay warm in Canada. Okay. Excuse me. This is, you're not going to catch anything, so don't worry. It's a little bit of a cough. Have I tried the Insta360 1R? So I've had the Insta360. I've had the Insta360 1R set from, well, the 1-inch I got after Christmas and the others I got before Christmas, and I haven't done anything with them. Mainly because 2 reasons. First off, I've been doing the other stuff, which is the my filmmaking photographer's masterclass with MZ. Finishing that. I only finished editing that in beginning of February. And the FX9 review, of course. And secondly, I said until you get 24 and 25p in those cameras, they're no good to me. The 360 one, fine. But for the action camera and the 1-inch, until you get that, I think that's a real problem. I don't want to shoot 30p. I don't shoot 30p. So I need to be, these cameras are going to be cut in with my other stuff, and that's going to be 25p. So it needs that. And I think the biggest disappointment I've got from, I have used them, I played with them, and they're cool. The Insta360 1-inch version, though, the close focus, this is the problem, it's a 1-inch sensor, and so therefore you need to have the ability to change the focus, and there is no ability, it's fixed focus, and the problem is the focus point is far away, so if you're trying to film yourself, you're always going to be out of focus, which is a pain. I mean, look, Sony didn't get it right with the RX0, and the RX0 Mark II, it does give you the ability to change focus, but it's not continuous autofocus. And so when you look at people's reviews of those cameras, they're always out of focus, because you're not going to see if you're in focus on that little screen, are you? Of course you're not. So I'd like Sony to bring out an RX0 Mark III with continuous phase detection autofocus. That would be really cool. And I think Insta360 need to add continuous autofocus. So there you go. Yeah, so someone's saying 30p slows at 80% is interesting. So yeah, I mean, I've done that a lot. So when I was using the 5D Mark II before I got 24p firmware, I did that quite often. I just interpreted it 30p as 25p or 24p, and it gives you a nice slight slow-mo, and I've used that for other videos as well, and it's a nice effect, but you cannot use it for any sync sound, of course. It's just a slight slow-mo, and it's quite nice. What do I think about the Sony Xperia Pro? I'd never used them, and I'd like to try one, but look, I've got my iPhone and I've got my Pixel, and Pixel's still so great, the video's not that great, the iPhone's great, video's nice and stuff, you can use it. The Xperia has all these cool things going for it. I'd like to try it, you know, it's got, I don't know, it's just like, it feels in a way a lot of overkill to have all these true controls over the camera with a camera without an aperture. So I don't know, I certainly like to try it, but for me, you know, when I use my iPhone for video wise, apart from filming cats, it's just grabbing stuff really quickly. And using it as a device on its own, sure, yeah, of course you can, but I don't know. That's a tricky question, going down this whole thing. So, okay, let's scroll up a bit because I've missed quite a few of these. So, Gerald and I did a Q&A. We did a live Q&A about a month ago, maybe. So, I mean, do check that out. It was about 7 hours long, which is about average length of Gerald's lives. So, there's that. But this is my first time doing my own one, and it seems to be working. Do I calibrate my monitors? Yes, I do. So I have a couple here. I've got but the one that I use is the Spider 3 Elite, and it goes on just I have 3 screens that you can't see. Here I've got this is the iMac one, I've got my Atomos Sumo 19, and this is my, which you can't hear, you can hear, but you can't see, it's my 21:9 LG, and they're all calibrated to match using the Spider 3 Elite, and I do that every month. I recalibrate it every month, just in case things get resets and stuff. Okay. So if Gerald ever does a Studio Undone on my place, it'll be a very short video, because it's my front room in my house. It's not a studio. I don't have a studio. There's not a lot to it. I've got a couple of positions that I can point the camera at. There's this one, which isn't the prettiest, but it's the only one I can really see the screen at. And then there's the one looking back where I can't see the screen. So definitely, Gerald, come over. Not right now, because I believe the borders are closed. Well, I think they're closed, but I don't think unless you want to come over here and then get stuck with me, bring Julie Undone as well, though, because then we can have some fun, because, you know, you're going to get stuck here. But yeah, he can certainly come over. I think the cool thing is Gerald lives in London, Ontario, and I live in London, proper London, so maybe there's a video there. Okay. Any thoughts on the XH1? XH1. What's the XH1? I don't know. What's the XH1? XH1. I'm sure I'm being stupid. So Jacko's asking, best beginner photo video setup for $2,000. Canon 90D. No, I mean, I wouldn't get a DSLR these days. Geez, I don't know. It's a tricky one. $2,000. I mean, maybe the Sony A7S. No, so Sony A7S III is well under that, I think. So maybe that, but then you're going to get everything else, haven't you? So that's the thing, is when you give budgets, it's difficult. So Jonathan is talking about something important. He says he works directly with government and a non-profit. Will be interested in helping to lobby directly for freelancers to achieve greater COVID-19 financial support. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's incredibly important. So I was watching BBC Breakfast Time News this morning, and they had the Chancellor's number 2 on answering questions, and he was directly asked 3 times about freelancers. He was saying that we have a freelancer here, and she has she had a year's worth of work lined up, and then the person sitting next to her is staff. So neither of them are working right now. One of them is getting 80% of their salary, and the other one is getting nothing. And he didn't answer. He was asked 3 times. So yeah, absolutely, Jonathan, I would love to get involved in this, because I think it's incredibly serious, because it's not just filmmaking and photographers. It's so many people who are freelance. We're doing it because this is the only way. There are no staff jobs. Very few staff jobs doing this sort of thing. And so we have to be freelance. We're not doing it because, hey, we can pay less tax. We're doing it because this is the only way we can work. I was never built for freelance because I'm an insecure person. I loved having that staff job and knowing when I was covered with sick pay, I had holidays and stuff. I knew I had a job. Being freelance has always been scary, and I still at times miss that security of staff, and I certainly do miss it right now. So yeah, absolutely, Jonathan. So what was it like to compare autofocus modes on the FX9? So yeah, my God, the autofocus on this camera is great. As you can see, I've got it set to a really. See, it took me a while to figure out the right settings, and this is a great setting right now. This gives me ability to give smooth transitional autofocus. So let me just grab Lollipop again. Hello, Lollipop. Hello, Lollipop. So Lollipop here. Hi, Lollipop. She's so sleepy. But I pick her up and I move her into my arms. It focuses onto me. But she says she wants to go on camera again. And then it smoothly transitions. Oh, I'm sorry, girl. You sit here. So, yeah, it's perfect. So it's about getting the right speed of the motor and the right sensitivity, and also the right area, and also the right, whether it's face only or face priority. I have it right now in face priority. Hence, if I cover my face, it does do it, and it tends to work well because I found with face only, it can get stuck quite a lot. Because when it loses the face, it then just holds the motor in that position. And if you come back and you're quite off, then it doesn't always pick you up. So that needs work as well. So, you tired? Okay. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. All right. That's Anthony Woodruff who just gave me €10. Thank you. All right. I've already talked about the A7S III. Who knows when it's going to come out? But I have talked about it in detail. Do I still have a C200? Yes, I talked about that as well. I have 2, and one of them I am selling. I'm keeping the other one. So there you go. Do I have a plan B if things don't get back to normal? I guess I will probably become a YouTuber. I'm not daily vlogging, don't worry. But certainly more stuff on YouTube is a potential avenue for me to look at if things don't get back to normal, because also I can do reviews and videos at home. So that is something obviously that will have to be a backup plan. But I still do have passive income from the filmmaking photographers class and my cinematic masterclass. So if you do buy it, then that obviously helps me out. So hopefully people will buy that, and that will keep the cats fed and keep the roof over my head. So I'm not going to be buying any new gear for a while. Have I ever considered starting a podcast, Michelle? Hi, Michelle. No, not really. Don't know, maybe. I could do. It's taken me this long to do a YouTube live, let alone start up a podcast. But maybe I'll start one later. I'll think about it. It's got to be something you know, something different, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe Gerald and I can team up to do a podcast together where we could be, we could team up and interview guests. So London, Philip Undone, Gerald Blue. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. We could, Gerald, think about that if you're watching. There you go. So a link to my masterclass is bit.ly and then it's /MZ. So that's MZED or Z if you're American, MZ. Bloom. So bit.ly /MZ Bloom. And so there. If you go to my, which video? If you go to my, just go to my website. Go to philipbloom.net go to philipbloom.net blog, and there's a banner there. There you go. Thank you very much, Scott. Glad you bought the masterclass and loved it. The FX9 dynamic range. So I don't know. So I think it's rated at 15, but never trust specs on these things because these are never usable dynamic range figures. This is where it can see information in either end, but it's not what's strictly usable. So I reckon we're probably getting around 11 to 12 stops of usable dynamic range maybe out of the camera. And that's pretty damn good because, again, all these other cameras are just stating their dynamic range but not usable dynamic range. So Cinema 5D are really good at doing their dynamic range tests. Let's see what they come up with. Okay. God, this has been going on for an hour already. So if you want to know what kit I'm using for this live stream, go to my Instagram, because in my stories I actually showing you what I'm using. The only thing I didn't show in my Instagram stories was the microphone, which is a boomed NTG4 from Rode. Somebody saying compared to the FS7. Oh, okay. Is the FX9 dynamic range better than the FS7? Yes. Everything about it is better than the FS7. The only thing the FS7 is better at than the FX9 is it's cheaper. And if you want to buy a second-hand FS7 with extension back and loads of accessories, contact me. I will sell it to you for a bargain. It's all packed up, ready to go. So there you go. Am I still using my Pentax 645Z? This is from Pavel. Not actively using it because I do have my, for the third time, medium format GFX 100. Pentax is such a special camera to me. It's just in the drawer here, so it's accessible whenever I want it, and I still love it to bits. And it's still my all-time favourite stills camera. But it's not the best stills camera I've got, if that makes sense. But I would never sell it. And I still put it out and use it every now and then. Actually, what I dug out two cameras recently to revisit. One of them is the digital Bolex. And the other one is I never really visited it in the first place, but I never sold it. It's a Samsung NX1. So I want to take another look at this camera, because it's got so much going for it, and they just dumped it. They just stopped, and I think it'd be nice to have a re-evaluation of it. So yeah, if you've not seen, I did put up a video yesterday from Richmond, and this was filmed on Wednesday night. Just trying to capture my home with how things are, and probably tomorrow or Monday I will go out again and do some more filming and see and capture the progression of how things change and get quieter and quieter. I'm not going to do the whole sort of like news type stuff of going to supermarkets, seeing crazy queues. I just want to try and just capture a vibe, a feeling of how London is changing over these next few weeks and months. Well, if Andrew Reid loves the NX1 and I hate it, haha, no, kidding. So have I tried the new Rode Go yet? This is from Dreamlike Pictures. What's the new Rode Go? What, the wireless? My God, I've got a 40-minute review on it, mate. If you're talking, that's the only thing I couldn't know. It's called Go, and it's great. But yeah, I've done a great review of it. Okay. Do I think there's going to be a software update to unlock the FX9 for CF Express? So it's something I talked about in my review. They're not going to tell me whether they're doing it or not. And, well, I am under NDA, so technically they could tell me, but they haven't told me anything. So that's not breaking my NDA because they haven't told me anything yet. But I have told them that it really needs it. So I'm hoping there will be a version 3 firmware. So version 2 is one that's supposed to come out in the summer, which is going to give us the extra features which it's supposed to have. Maybe version 3 will do it because it's this XQD and CF Express cards are the same. They're just faster and more expensive. And it's what's holding the camera back is the codec. That's why it's not recording 6K. It's why it's not recording anything over 4K 60 because the XABCI codec doesn't do that. So it needs a new codec, needs faster cards. I'm sure the camera's very capable of it because I do know that the 120p 4K is coming to the camera, but because it can't record it internally, it's only going to be out of the RAW, which means you have to get that big extension back, which I'm not going to get. So I appreciate these lovely tips. It's very generous of you, so thank you very much. It goes to feeding the cats. So do I like using film? So I've never shot proper film video, as in like movie film, as in motion picture. I've got loads of film cameras up there, but you don't know if you've seen the photo of it. But stills, yeah, I've done loads of stills, and I haven't done it for a while, but I do every few years. I have a stills resurgence because I love it, and then I stop because it's expensive, but I still love it. So yeah, that's going to take a drink. So Mohammed's talking about the Xperia Pro, about 5G and HDMI for monitoring and storage. I think the ability to use it as a monitor would be cool, although it's a bloody expensive little monitor, isn't it? And unless you need the 5G for doing lives on the go with it, I don't know. I'd just be scared about having such an expensive little monitor. I don't know how robust it is. Who knows? So I've already talked about the R5 ages ago, Phil. Sorry. Cheers, Michael. Thanks very much. So Peter is asking about the PXW Z50.
I found this on the web.
Oh, well, there you go. My Apple Watch has answered it for you. Yeah, it's a small sensor camcorder. It's a bit too chunky for me, but yeah, I mean, it's got great features. But yeah, it's don't they market it as a deep depth of field camera? Yeah, it's not. I have I shot the Scatos Kitten series on a NX80. Oh, I know what it's called. It's the 1-inch sensor one, which is really nice, with great autofocus. But yeah, but it's small. Okay. If you want to know what happened to Harriet's eye, then there's go to my feed and look for Harriet the Beach Cat. So it's a short documentary. It's about 15-16 minutes long, and it's how she came into my life and how I found her on the beach and how I brought her home. So we'll answer your question there in a beautiful, moving way. The R5 cannot shoot 8K. Yeah, well, they say it can, so there you go. Tom is asking a good question. Tom Gale, what do I think about showreels in 2020? Do I have one to show new clients? No, and I really should. I haven't cut a showreel in 6 years. But I think showreels are important to a point, but it's also good to be able to have examples of your work specific to what that client is after. So there's that, in a way, is kind of more valuable because that shows them what you actually could get. Whereas the showreel is just going to be highlights of your best shots. So they're important to a point, but I haven't felt the need to do one in 6 years. So Sigma 35 1.2 is great, but it's so heavy. Like, I've got the 1.8 Sony on here right now. Okay, it's not as fast and blah blah blah, but my god, it's small. That 1.2 is a beautiful lens, and I can only use it on the FP because the L series camera I've got, and it's great, but it's so heavy. Oh my god, so many questions. So I'm probably going to maybe go another 10-15 minutes because my voice, as you can hear, is starting to go a little bit. So what old camera do I still use for video? The oldest camera that I use for video, the FX9. I don't know. What's the oldest camera that I still use for video? I can't honestly think. I don't think there's anything really old. So like the stills cameras that I use, the GFX 100S, the A7S, the A7 III, the A7 R4. I've got the EOS R, which I use occasionally. I haven't got anything really old. So I don't know. I did use the XH1 not that long ago, but yeah, no, I need a one-off. So no, not really. I don't really use because I have such great new cameras. I don't. But I told you I'm going to revisit a couple of those older cameras soon. So, let's have a look. Now, okay. So Paul Wavy's asking, now low light has been improved and we don't need such fast lenses. Do you think that's changed the style of low light filmmaking, e.g. not a shallow depth of field? Look, I'm at 1.8. Do I need to be at 1.8? Probably not, but I just like the fact that I can show off the autofocus, although I'm going off mic each time I do this, which is incredibly unprofessional of me. Have a look at The Outcast. It's an HBO series. Bloody brilliant. I watched that. I finished that last week. And that's shot on the Sony Venice. And that has a lot of shallow depth of field in it. At times, I would say too much, for sure. But it looks beautiful. So I don't think it... I like the ability that it can... Having a camera with great low light performance and still being able to have, you know, and having a large sensor and fast lenses gives you the flexibility to make it what you want. And, you know, if you don't have autofocus and certain things, trying to keep anything in focus is impossible with a large sensor, especially with a stills lens. But yeah, stopping down, you know, you stop down when you need to keep things in focus. So when I'm shooting a lot of my documentary stuff, especially anything that's like handheld actuality, I'm not going to be wide open. I'm going to have a depth of field that I can work in. And the whole joy about when the A7S came out was that prior to that, we had to shoot at 1.4 outside, or in low light, sorry, to be able to, you know, actually get exposure. And the low light performance of the A7S did give us the ability to suddenly be able to shoot at f2.8 or f4 push in those same lighting conditions and give us a depth of field which we could work with. So there's definitely... Shallow depth of field is still an important part of filmmaking, and it still looks really beautiful when done well. So, and I still love it. And that's why I got, for the fourth time, the GFX 100S. So this sensor, right? So it's a medium format sensor, and it's so it's not full medium format. It's like it's a 645 medium format, and so the fastest lens I've got native for it is an f2, which equates to like a 1.4, so 110, it's a 110 f2, which equates to like an 85mm 1.4. So it's not that different, but I have an adapter that lets me put on Canon lenses, and any lens over 50mm will fill that sensor, and then I am super fast, so I can put on a 1.4 or 1.2 onto a medium format and get so shallow nothing's in focus, which is great. But yeah, it's fine for photography, but for video, like, forget it. There's no chance of me being able to possibly keep anything at focus at f1. I actually do have an f0.95 lens for my E-mount, and it's so soft, but it is soft at f5.6. Great. It's sharp at 5.6. I am currently in. Yeah, let me put on the information. Let's just change this live stream up slightly. So I can press this button there. These are my camera settings, as you can see. So there's my white balance, and that's the time. Is that right? Yeah, good. I like time. I use time a day quite a lot for my time codes, by the way. It's a documentary thing, because then when I'm looking at time codes, I know, there we go, it was shot then and there. And you can see the autofocus on there. And you can see it is an S Cinetone, which is what I'm on. I'm at 1600 ISO, and I got, I have ND in there, a little bit of ND. So the reason I'm at the high base ISO, which is actually 4000 and drop down, it just gives me more flexibility in the lighting, and it is actually cleaner. Whilst it will drop my dynamic range slightly, it's a bloody live on YouTube. You're not really going to worry about the dynamic range too much. It just gives me flexibility, and with the variable ND I have. You see, the thing is, if you watch my review of the FX9, you'll know that if you shoot in... Actually, sorry, in S Cinetone, the base sensitivity in high is 2500, so it's not that far off this. It's only an S-Log3. But if you in the low sensitivity and you push it up high, then it gets noisier. It's noisier. So if I was in low at 1600, it would be noisier than high in 1600. Watch my review, it'll make sense. There you go. Let me take off this stuff off the screen. There we go. Oh, so many questions. How did I build my MacGyver rig? If you're talking about the one for the Sigma FP, I didn't really build it much. It's just basically it's an old Bolex piece of wood for the shoulder rig, and some bits from small rig. Small rig have loads of great little bits and pieces. Can I bake a LUT into the SDI output? Yes, you can. Yeah, so there's a lot of awkward quirks and things about this camera which I couldn't go into in review because it was so complicated and in depth about certain resolutions and certain settings and things where you can have a LUT out, but then and on some other ones, when if you have a LUT out, then it insists that you record that LUT as well and things like that. But yes, you can have an MLUT going externally, and you can record internally in log. Yeah, you can. But you can't in HD. But you can in 4K. Weird. Right. Have I ever been injured working? Yeah, my back. So I have a bad back. So if you don't know my history of my bad back, I've had a bad back going, it's probably started about 18, 19 years ago. It's all to do with news, working in news, carrying these big cameras and everything and stuff. But the last time it went badly was in 2016 in May, and it was the first episode of season 3 of The Wanderlist. We were filming in the red light district of Amsterdam, and we're filming in the Prostitute Museum, and we're setting up to do an interview. And I just leaned forward to just level the tripod, and my back went. It just went from that, because obviously it's like basically the way that it is. It's like an elastic band. It's pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled, and it's the tiniest thing at the end would just make it go. And I was paralysed in pain, and I had to be carried out by 3 men through the red light district because you couldn't get any cars down there. So you can imagine what people were thinking of what caused this. And all I was trying to do was get my tripod level, which it currently isn't even level right now. So I'm terrified of doing it in case it puts my back out. There you go. What's the time? I should end this quite soon because my voice is going. But yes, I do. Got a question there. What are my thoughts on the Zcam E2 F6? So I haven't got the F6 yet. I have the F6. So the S6, but they're telling me they're going to get me the F6 and F8 soon. So as soon as I get these new ones from Zcam, I'm going to do a giant Zcam review of all of them. So there you go. Oof. So yes, I've talked about the R5 loads, but I don't know anything about. I don't know. I've not got one. So the thing is, if you've not been on the live since the start, you've obviously missed a lot. So I'm going to leave the live up so you can watch it back and many times and catch those things that you missed. So somebody asking, I've been to dangerous places in my career. Yeah, I've been to many dangerous places in my career. I've covered. I did cover the Kosovo War. I covered the Second Gulf War. I spent a lot of time in Gaza and the West Bank. I've had a bomb dropped on me by the Americans. I've been shot at. I've been in riots. I've been in some pretty horrendous places. And look, a lot of news cameramen get a kick out of that, and I really don't. I did it because I thought it was important to cover these stories. Less so with the Gulf War 2 because it was so media managed. But certainly the stuff I did in Gaza and the West Bank was... these are stories which you find and tell, and those were really important. And same with other stuff. So, but I don't take risks. I don't really want to be shot at or have a bomb dropped on me. Thanks very much. Cool. All right. I don't think I can. As you can hear, my voice hasn't talked this much in a long time because I live on my own, and I actually did a Facebook post on my personal Facebook page today, just saying, I basically am saying the same things constantly during the day when I'm talking to my cats. It's like, what do you want? You don't want feeding again. And this is the only time I use my voice. So this is the most talking I've done in a long time. So I'm going to do another live probably in a few days because I may as well. It works and it's fun to do, and I've missed loads of questions. I'm sure. I'm sorry. You need a second person here to go through the questions and then just remind you. So sorry if I keep missing your questions, but you can't keep up with this. It's impossible. So I've done my best. Please further explain the story of when you got a bomb dropped on you. There was a good story about getting the bomb dropped on us. So we were on the border. We were in Albania on the border of Kosovo. And so basically the bomb came down and it didn't kill anybody. It missed, thankfully, because it was an American bomb and they dropped it the wrong side of the border. They didn't drop it on the enemy, they dropped it on the Allies, but thankfully they said it missed. They denied it. They denied that it was their bomb, but we went into the bomb site and we found wreckage and we found the actual chip from the bomb with the serial number on it and stuff. And so we found out that it was an American bomb. So we gave that to the Defense Department, and then they couldn't deny it. They dropped it on the wrong country. Terrible time, these wars, and the last Gulf War was a terrible time, and I lost a lot of friends in that, so not for me anymore. So keep busy with work, go through your footage, get some stock together. If you're lucky enough to have a family, film them doing everyday stuff, because stock companies love it. Get them to change clothes and do different things, get them ready for school, film them just, you know, at the dinner table, film them playing, film them doing homework. That sort of stuff is gold dust for stock footage companies. People, they love it. They love it. Just want to talk about, because, you know, I get requests from stock companies, and my favourite one, because they're often really specific. I did get emailed once, and they said, so if anybody has any footage of this, we'd really appreciate it, because the client's asking for it. What we need is a businesswoman in her 30s wearing a red suit, a business suit type thing, coming out of an elevator into an open plan office with big windows and an amazing city skyline. And I said, I don't have anything like that, I'm afraid. That's quite specific, really. The sort of thing you have to actually go and shoot. So I don't have that. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for watching the live. I am going to carry on watching Barry season 2 now, I think, and get back to the cats. And I'll do a live in another few days. And take care. And I'm going to end this by clicking end stream, and I'll make sure I wash my hands now that I've ended my stream.